How much energy is wasted every day inside your organization or every week inside your organization? How much energy are we wasting playing these games of being unhealthy? If we could put dollars on it, you would be shocked how much money we're wasting and how much money we're not making. So it's a double whammy. Not only are we wasting money and wasting time and wasting energy, but because of this confusion and chaos, we're not making the money we need to anyway. Hey, my name is Bobby Mink with Choice Consulting and Management, and we want to welcome you back to our Choices Create Change podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we'll be starting a two-part series on the advantage: why organizational health trumps everything else in business, by Patrick Lencioni. So the ultimate competitive advantage, according to Lencioni, is organizational health. And one of the things we'll be talking about on this episode is why most companies focus on the wrong things. And getting a chance to work with company owners all around the country, it is one thing that we notice. We definitely focus on the organization, and we're going to be talking about that. But the cultural side of most companies is a real struggle. So hopefully this two-part series can be very helpful to you in your family or in your department or definitely in your organization. So let's get started. So Patrick Lencioni shares that most organizations spend an enormous time on being smart. And I'll have to say, for me, a person whose gifting is operations, right? My real forte is taking the situation from where we are, understanding where we're going to be, and then how do we begin to put the steps in place to achieve what we're trying to achieve. What is the operational process? That's my gifting, right? So this part of this session today, definitely I get, and I also understand what we're fixing to talk about when we talk about healthy organizations. But most organizations spend an enormous time on being smart, strategy and marketing and technology and finance and operations. But very little time is spent on being healthy. And I would have to say that is absolutely the truth across this country in all industries today, right? So let's spend a little bit of time talking about smart and healthy companies and cultures, okay? So one of the questions would be, why do talented companies still struggle? Right? And so we're going to talk about the difference between a smart organization and healthy organization, and then why a smart organization and healthy organization, why a healthy organization is a multiplier, right? It doesn't really matter the company, as Patrick shares, a culture can trump everything. When you have two businesses or two industries competing in the same market, doing very similar things, I can tell you from experience, the company that is running a great place to work and a great culture is probably beginning to outrun their competitor. Okay. So a smart company focuses on the traditional elements of business: strategy, marketing, finance, technology, operations, product development, competitive advantage. And I would say yes to all of that. Definitely needing a strategy of where we are and what we do and what we're called to do and the impact we want to make and what we're trying to achieve. We need that. And here's one place that most organizations are really struggling is marketing. We really haven't figured out how to leverage and brand and share with the world who we are and the differences that we bring to the table through what we do. But it's definitely something in the core of the business that we need to be focused on. You better be on top of your finances, which is the next place I see a big struggle as it relates to smart companies. We're not great at understanding and knowing our numbers and measuring and tracking what's going on day to day, week to week, and month to month. Technology is also a place I see a huge struggle. And yes, smart companies are doing a much better job, but typically we are not leveraging technology and what is available to us in this current generation, in this current time in history where we're living. We are not maximizing technology either. Right. But smart companies are focused on technology. Operations, you need to be a beast. Operationally, you need to be checking the boxes and making things happen and being on time and being efficient and being profitable. Right. So yes, All of those things should be happening. Product development, keeping an eye on your marketing, keeping an eye on the marketplace, understanding when we need to adapt or a change or add new product and develop new product is something we definitely should be doing in a smart company. And we should take all of this to leverage a competitive advantage for us. These are technical and intellectual aspects of running a business. Most business schools, most consultants, executives spend the majority of their time working on this part of this podcast: strategy, marketing, finance, technology, operations, product development, competitive advantage. But healthy organizations, who also are smart organizations, but healthy organizations focus on people and the organizational side of business. Do you have trust among team members? Do we have productive conflict, conversations and meetings and situations where it's not so smooth and there may be a little bit of an argument and disagreement, but it is productive? Do we have a commitment to make timely decisions? Are we accountable as a leader? Are we accountable as the department head? Are we accountable as a parent? Are we accountable for everything we're responsible for and what we're overseeing? Is one of the attributes of a healthy company. Are we focused on results? It's not being busy, doing a lot, everybody working long hours. It's about getting the results. And we focus on what we're doing to get those results in a healthy organization. Do we have clear communication? I'm oftentimes in places, and they can be relatively small companies, 10, 15, 20 employees, where I'm talking to somebody on the front line and they're like, honestly, I don't really know who I'm supposed to talk to. I thought Bill was the guy, but I went to him and he said, I'm not really over that. You probably should talk to Susie. And Susie's like, oh no, that's John. Right. But in healthy companies, the communication is clear, not only about who I communicate with, but we've created trust among team members where we can speak what needs to be said and move the whole situation or organization forward. So we begin to develop a culture of clear communication. We have leadership alignment. The two people or the four people or the six people that are on the leadership team that are running the organization, CFO, CEO, owner, head of sales and marketing, head of operations, head of finance, whoever those players are, we're all aligned in who we are, what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish, and how we want to make this organization go forward and what we're trying to accomplish. And we're going to do that through a healthy organization where people thrive, right? Healthy companies have leadership alignment. Low politics, there's just not a lot of drama. You don't have to send the emails and blind copy yourself to cover your butt. We've created a place where we talk about what needs to be talked about. People own what they do. They're empowered to do what they do. We're all on the same page. When we have issues, we speak up and deal with it. When decisions need to be made, we make those decisions. There's just not a lot of time for drama, and drama is a total waste of time. So healthy companies don't have a lot of politics. And lastly, healthy companies don't have a lot of confusion. People understand where we're going. The leadership team is consistently communicating that to our team and our organization. I understand with the chair that I sit in, what they're paying me to do and what my job is. I understand what I'm supposed to do. And I understand how what I do contributes to where we're going as an organization. So there is low confusion in healthy organizations. According to Lencioni, organizational health means that leaders are aligned, communicate clearly, and can create an environment where people can work together effectively. If you heard Choices Create Change podcast very often, you often hear us say our jobs as leaders and managers is to create and maintain environments where people can crush it, right? So organizational health means that we create an environment where people can work together effectively is the key. Not just work together, but effectively, which we don't have a lot of drama. We don't have a lot of confusion and we don't have a lot of politics. We just got a team that's focused on moving forward and we're working together and communicating. And you could even begin to use the term fun in some places where I've worked. An example of questions that you should be able to ask and answer in healthy organization is, does your leadership team trust one another? We should say yes. When we have to, we close the door and we have the most difficult conversation we need to have, even if it's personal, between the CEO and the CFO. We can close the door and have difficult, challenging personal conversations about deep issues, and there's a trust that will respect this is not personal, this is just business, and we're going to work through this and we're going to figure this out. Healthy organizations have a leadership team that trusts one another. We have honest conversations. I heard a statement not too long ago where somebody said you can't really tell everybody the truth. And so healthy organizations are able to have honest conversations because there's trust. It's not sneaking behind somebody's back and sharing some gossip once the meeting's over. And so I really can't speak up because last time I got thrown under the bus. Healthy organizations are having honest conversations that are respect the individual and respect their version of what they see and what they feel, and we're able to work through it and talk it out. Healthy organizations, is everyone clear on our priorities? Does everyone understand what you're doing and how it contributes to where we're going? And are we measuring that? And how are you doing? Is everyone clear on our priorities? Is there confusion in what the customer answer should be or shouldn't be? Sometimes I heard a podcast this week talking about confusion. Sometimes the people on the front lines are not exactly sure. Can I say this? I think it's what our process is, and I think it's what it's supposed to do. But I've also heard and seen us make exceptions. So I'm not really sure if this is the right priority. So healthy organizations are clear. No, this is our process. This is what we've explained to the customer. This is what they need to expect. This is what they've signed off on. This is what happened. And so this is the instruction and the answer that you need to give. And we're very consistent with that, right? So everyone's clear in our priorities. Leaders are sending the same message. Somebody's not on the side at dinner somewhere in another part of the office having a different conversation about, I don't really agree with what we're doing. I think it could be different. No, leaders are sending the same message and they're trying to live that same message, right? That's a healthy organization. And are people holding each other accountable? And I don't mean holding each other accountable so that you can be caught doing something wrong and you're afraid of losing your job and you're going to get in trouble or yelled at. It's not that accountability. It's how are your results? Is there anything I can do to help you with your results? But you're responsible for your results. So I'm not doing your job. I'm not doing your spreadsheet. I'm not doing your follow up, but am here in this healthy organization to help you if I can. Are people holding each other accountable and helping each other? So Lencioni's key point is the single greatest advantage in any company. The single greatest advantage in any company can achieve is organizational health, right? We've just discussed it. Many companies, and this is true because I do this all over the place, all over the country. Many companies become very smart, but they struggle because they're unhealthy. All right. So here are a few signs of being unhealthy. We talked about some things that healthy companies are doing, but when you're not healthy, there is politics. There are games being played. There are meetings before the meetings. There are people saying, make sure you don't say that. Make sure you don't share that. Make sure you cover your butt when you send that. Make sure you make 2 copies and keep one, right? There's a lot of games to be played in unhealthy organizations, which is a total waste of time and energy, right? In unhealthy organizations, there's confusion. People are not exactly sure what I'm supposed to be doing or how I'm supposed to respond or if I'm even supposed to do that, right? There is confusion. And I'm telling you, it is impacting morale. It is impacting profitability. It is impacting customer satisfaction. It is impacting the place that you're coming to work at, right? That confusion is brutal. And because of politics and because of confusion, you got low morale. You got people going, yeah, I got to go to work again tomorrow. What do you mean? It's just, man, I get there right at when I'm supposed to start at 8. I leave right at 5. I just can't take it. Why don't you leave? Well, they pay me well and I've been there a long time and it's kind of easy, right? But low morale is crushing profitability. It's crushing culture. It's crushing customer satisfaction. So low morale is what you see in unhealthy organizations. Silos. Everybody doesn't know what's going on because we don't have a way to clearly communicate. And so what happens is you have to go see Bill or you have to go see Susie. I think she has it on her computer. I'm not really sure we keep that. Go see Martha. I think she understands, but I'm not exactly sure. So we really just don't know what's going on. But if you can find the right person in the right cubicle with the right computer, you probably can figure it out, right? Unhealthy organizations are siloed. It's not we, it's individual us's. I, right? And it's killing us as an organization. And then there's poor communication. All these build on each other. Poor communication means I don't really know who's in charge. I don't really need to know who to ask for this. And last time I asked, I got the wrong answer. So now I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to do this. And last time I brought it up, somebody got super mad at me. So I'm not bringing that up anymore. So I'll just let them figure it out on their own. There is just so much drama and wasted time and energy. And poor communication is a part of that. And here's a question you can ask yourself. How much energy is wasted every day inside your organization or every week inside your organization? How much energy are we wasting playing these games of being unhealthy? If we could put dollars on it, you would be shocked how much money we're wasting and how much money we're not making. So it's a double whammy. Not only are we wasting money and wasting time and wasting energy, but because of this confusion and chaos, we're not making the money we need to anyway. So you're getting pounded twice. How much energy is wasted inside your organization every week? So why does this healthy organization goal or process is try to strive to continue to have strategy and continue to work on the basics, but also begin to add health to our culture and our company? Why? Look, here's one thing. I was at 20 years with a company here in Atlanta, and I'm telling you, we worked our butts off and we worked hard, but our owner really appreciated us. And we did communicate and we had good training and we were celebrated with company trips and bonuses and, annual gifts for your annual anniversary and 5 year and 10 year, just a bunch of amazing things. And I can tell you, a lot of us weren't looking to leave. I didn't look for a job for 20 years. So one of the things you'll notice about healthy organization and why it matters, there's not as much turnover. I'm just telling you, across this country, there's not enough great places to work. So when you find one or you hear somebody that's working at one, you want to go there. And if you're at one, it's not greener on the other side of the fence. Trust me. So if I've got a place where they respect and they notice and we communicate and there's teamwork and we get celebrated, we might even have fun, we're crushing it, we make money. It's a place I'm probably going to stay, right? So lower turnover, better customer experience. What happens when our people are empowered, they're accountable, they're responsible, they have tools, they're measuring, then they're thriving in their job. When they get involved with customers, it's really good conversation and it's really good relationship. Let me see what I can do about that. That was not clear. I'm going to make a note to fix that process for our next customer. Let's see what we can do for you. I'm fired up. I'm showed up. I'm empowered. I'm kind of liking what I do. And I like the fact that the company backs this up with what we do. So this whole customer interaction is great. So the customer experience gets raised to another level. Here's the other thing, higher profitability. Because we all own what we do and we're focused on it, we're trying to do a great job. We are doing what it takes to try to make sure our area is doing what we're supposed to do. So when we're executing strategy, when we're executing because we're in a healthy organization and I'm thriving, we are making more money. We just are. And I've watched places that went from not great and 5 years later, amazing. And it's amazing 5% margins to 8% margins to 11% margins to 15% margins to 20% margins over a 3-year period. 10 to 15% increase in profit and bottom line because you begin to create a healthy organization. Here's the other thing, faster decisions. Look, time is money. The more time we waste waiting and wondering and researching and let me find out and I'm not sure and kind of scares me, like all of that is money. So healthy organizations have figured out a way to get in the room, get the facts as we know it. Not exactly sure, but let's go ahead and make a decision. Let's keep this thing moving. Let's keep moving forward. Healthy organizations figure out how to move quickly. We know how to make decisions. And I can tell you, they're not all right. But a wrong decision quickly so we can get to, oops, now let's turn and let's adjust and let's get going is still better than the company that's been waiting a week or 3 weeks or 3 months. We've lost opportunities. We've paid interest carry. We've lost morale. The customer or the vendor is frustrated. Like it's a giant mess. So faster decisions help us in a healthy organization. Better execution. When the team is thriving, dude, we just show up and knock it out of the park. We execute. We're on time. Our cycle time is right. Our margins are right. The customer satisfaction is 4.5 to 5-star Google reviews. We're bringing product in. We're creating new product. We're turning it out. The team is growing. We got a great process of onboarding. We've started training. Like everything starts to work and we begin to execute. And it is crazy money you make when you begin to execute, right? All those are reasons we need to quickly try to move toward healthy organizations. So we're going to start talking in the next section here about the 4 disciplines. So Lencioni says we're going to talk about building a cohesive leadership team. We want to talk about making sure we create clarity. We want to talk about over communicating that clarity. And then we want to talk about reinforcing the clarity that we've created. Organizational health is the greatest untapped competitive advantage in business. And it's probably the same thing in families, in non-for-profits and churches, for departments. When we get people thriving where they're at, it is unbelievable the impact we can make, not only in their personal life, but in the company and the customer and the profit and the bottom line. So from session 1, organizational health, the takeaway is organizational health is the greatest untapped competitive advantage that's out there in the business world today. And I totally believe it based on what I get to do. Okay, we're going to jump into part 2 today, and that's build a cohesive team. And so it's interesting. Lencioni's comment is we need to have trust before strategy. And one of the things that I'm learning as I'm learning to coach is if we need to really start working on the leadership team and the ownership and that communication and that trust and working on ourselves. Why? Because John Maxwell says everything rises and falls on leadership. So if we can begin to fix us and our issues and our challenges, and we can begin to get owners and department heads and VPs and parents on the same page, we begin to trust each other first. Dude, we can go crush strategy, right? So we're going to jump into this, build a cohesive leadership team, trust before strategy. So one of the reasons that our teams are struggling or failing, and I've lived this too, there are egos that show up around the room. Some people think I'm more important than them. I think what I need to say is more important than they need to say. They don't really have the experience. They don't know what they're really talking about. They really need to let me handle this one. I kind of know what I'm doing. I'm kind of the rock star here. So, right. And so when I bring I to the team, there's no I in team, right? We know that. So the ego starts busting up our leadership team. There is no we. So one of the challenges we have with our leadership team is we've got people on the team that have an ego and it needs to be checked or removed. Sorry, right? Because it is standing in the way. Here's the other thing, politics. You got some people with some agendas. They don't necessarily agree. They're kind of talking behind your back in other department meetings or in other areas. They're creating some drama. We've got some leadership that's kind of fussed at some people, or maybe they lashed out and, were in anger and said some things they shouldn't have said. But so now there's this environment we create that's like, better not say that. Don't bring that up. Don't let them know. You better not say that at the meeting. No. Don't show them that report because, all right. So there's this threat of fear. I just did an Instagram on, make sure you run from fear. Fear is a terrible partner to have as your filter, right? So politics is fear-based and it's crushing our leadership teams. Hidden agendas. You've got people that are leaving the meeting, having secondary meetings going, I know they said that, but this is what we're going to do. And they'll never know, right? Because we really need to get here. Well, they said this. Yeah, but they don't really know what they're talking about. But we need to lead them. We need to go this way and just forget those guys. They don't know what they're doing. Hidden agendas. Come on. It's crushing us as a leadership team. And here's the last one. Lack of trust. We cannot close the door and have a significant, difficult conversation. We just have a voice. As we've said before, the hardest voice to manage is yours. In our head, this voice is going, this is not going to go good. You don't need to bring it up. Jack is going to get so pissed when we talk about this. We just need to table this. We'll do it later. No, we need to create an environment where close the door. We're going to take the gloves off and we're going to talk about this today. And I know it's going to be painful for some of us in the room, but we're no longer going to tiptoe around this stuff. We're no longer going to work around eggshells in this company or in this leadership team anymore. So if you can't speak openly and we haven't created an environment of trust, then we're going to stop right here today and we're going to begin to work on that first, right? The lack of trust is crushing us. And if you've never read it or listened to it, Patrick Lencioni's got a great book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. You need to read it. You need to get your leadership team to read it. You need to take that homework and those things and you start applying it to your team and your meetings and how you manage. It'll change your company, right? So the issues with struggling leadership teams, which is struggling culture, egos and politics and hidden agendas and lack of trust. So your homework is go listen to or read Five Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. Okay. So to create the leadership team and move more to a healthy culture, we need vulnerability. People need to be able to just tell the truth when I screwed up or when I messed it up. I just need to be open and honest. And we need to have based out of trust, right? I need to be able to admit mistakes. I had a pastor once from the stage. Him and his wife they had 2 or 3 kids, and then they had adopted 1 or 2 kids. And we were talking about family and parents, that stuff on that Sunday. And I'll never forget from the stage, he said to the whole church, by the way, we're really struggling as parents with all these adopted kids and our own family. And, we've got 6-year-old to 16-year-old. Like we're just not doing the best job we can do. We need to do better. And you could hear in the room going, whoa, the guy on the stage in charge of everything, the pastor, the guy's supposed to have all the answer, is struggling just like us. You could feel in the room, everybody going, good. I don't feel so bad, because if the guy that's the closest to God in the room is struggling, then I don't feel so bad that I'm struggling. It's the same thing in business. If I'm leading and I'm making mistakes or I had an error or I'm struggling, I need to make sure we admit it. If I'm VP of sales and we didn't do our follow-up and we didn't have our meeting like we're supposed to, we didn't go over our numbers and we missed the whole week's worth of opportunity, I need to step up and say, we missed this. I screwed up. I didn't manage it. I didn't lead it. We've started a new process. You won't see this happen again. I just need to admit where my mistakes are. It makes me real, and it makes the room and the company around me feel much better about me not being a little wonky. Like I don't have it all dolled up and I should be doing better. And then I hear somebody, a VP of this or a CEO say, I messed it up. It gives me hope, right? Here's the other thing. Even CEO or COO, this is one of the struggles we really have, this vulnerability thing. Ask for help. Like you are not gifted with all the gifts. Sales, marketing, production, operations, finance, executive officer, operations officer, culture officer. Like you don't have the 8 or 10 gifts. You just don't have them, right? You have 2 or 3 or 4 things that you're amazing at. So when we're not good at it, we need to ask for help. And the world needs to see us asking for help. I'm really not good at that. In fact, I totally suck at that. If you let me do it, I'll do it, but it's going to be a train wreck. We need to have the vulnerability and the trust to be able to say what needs to be said, regardless of what people think about us, set that voice aside. And I need to ask for help. And I'm telling you, when I stand in front of the room going, I'm not good at this, I could use some help. Some of us would say, I'll do it. And we'll take it from you and we'll run with it, right? Because you are vulnerable and open to us, right? We need authentic leadership. You need to say it like it is. If cash flow sucks, we need to talk about it. If we're not getting enough income to pay invoices like we need to talk about it. If it's taking too long to get the product from start to finish, we need to talk about it. If our customer satisfaction is terrible, we need to talk about it. Also, if we're crushing it, we need to talk about it. If we're making crazy money, we need to talk about it. Authentic leadership does not hide. Well, they'll never know that. Oh, if I share this, they'll quit and go start their own company, or, they'll want to raise, or, they'll probably think we're going out of business if we tell them the truth. Just take that voice and set it aside. I'm telling you, if you got the right people on the bus, if you share your heart, if you become authentic with us, we'll run with you and we'll crush it. Now, if you got the wrong people, they'll take advantage of you, whatever. You just need to fire them. And I didn't really say that, but I'm just saying, if you got the right people and you become authentic with us, we'll run with you. We'll help carry this load. If I don't know what the load is and I don't know how difficult the situation might be, how can I help? Right? How can I help if I don't know? And some of it's because in the leadership room, we're saying, I don't know if we can tell them this. They're going to be depressed, or they're going to be afraid, or they're going to, man, they didn't even know we're making this much money. Okay. There's a whole bunch we could unpack with that whole conversation, but authentic leadership is a healthy culture that will crush it. Right? So when was the last time you admitted you were wrong to your team? When was the last time you stood up in front of the 5 people on the leadership team or the 25 people in your company? When is the last time, first of all, when was the last time you got everybody in the same room? That's a whole nother class, right? When's the last time we all got in the room and talked about the company and us and what's going on? But I'm saying, when's the last time with your leadership team or the company as a whole that you admitted you were wrong and you made a mistake? If it's never happened, need to change that. If it's been a long time to line up another one. We don't want you screwing up. We don't want you messing up. But if you do, it's pretty powerful to share. This is what happened. This is the decision I made. It didn't go well. It was probably the wrong decision. Here's what I've learned. Here's the adjustments we've made. And I just need you guys to help me pick up the pieces that I screwed up and help me move forward. Like, that is unbelievably powerful. Okay. Healthy conflict. Healthy cultures, healthy places to work have healthy conflict. We are not intimidated by a somewhat heated, but respectful and not personal conversation. Did you hear me? We're not afraid of some conflict, this difficult conversation we have that's business and not personal, right? So it's not about you. It's about the situation and the company and the business or the topic we're talking about. But we're not afraid to close the door and say, look, this is not working. Look, you guys did that. It is not acceptable. I can't even believe we made that decision. I can't even believe we let that happen. Let's talk about what happened, what got us to the place where we made the decision. Let's talk about why in the world did we think the decision was the right decision? And then let's talk about what we learned and what we're going to do moving forward. We need, and you could have somebody in tears going, I'm so sorry. It was $100,000 mistake, right? It's totally fine. It's not personal. And if I'm feeling the weight of that decision, it's totally fine. We'll give you a hug, whatever. But now let's start figuring out what happened. Let's figure out what went on, the process, where it went sideways. Because if we do, we'll put a new process in place. We'll put a new checklist in place. We'll put some new guardrails up. We won't have to go down this road again. But most places are dodging those conversations. We're not having the conversation. We got a guy here that's running one of our areas. We found out he's stealing. And we say, well, that's really not good. But he's got kids and grandkids and he's been here a long time. And, we need to do something. But, okay, look, if it's a difficult conversation, we need to go ahead and have it right now. A couple podcasts ago, we talked about a CFO that I had. And Mark said, if you have a difficult conversation, gather the team and let's go have it right now. We need healthy conflict in healthy organizations. We need productive disagreements. Now, here's the key. When you're in the room, we can argue and duke it out and fight and swing and whatever. But when we finish going, everybody agrees, this is the policy we're going to have. We're not completely 100% on the same page, but everybody has raised their hand going, I'll support this 100%. When we leave that room, we are one. We can disagree and fight and scream and stuff in the room and have some difficult conversations. But when we finish and we leave, we need to leave united, a consistent, cohesive leadership team. So productive disagreements, but in harmony when we leave. One of the things about healthy conflict, you got to avoid artificial harmony. Oh yeah, that's fine. It'll be fine. Like inside, I'm totally disagree. This is ridiculous. I can't even believe we're doing this, right? So I'm putting on this face. Okay, there's a total lack of trust right there, which is unhealthy, right? So you need productive disagreements. You can't put on a face of everything is fine. Just stop the meeting going, I totally disagree. I was just fixing to put on a smiley face and say everything is fine, but I'm not doing that anymore, right? Because that environment ultimately creates better decisions. When people get it off their chest and we unpack it and we analyze it and we figured it out and we give forgiveness and we create a new process and we move forward, we are better for it, right? We just took a step as a team and as an organization. And if you need help with any of this, be Mink at choiceconsultingman.com. Go to our site and give us a note and we'll get a touch of you and we can do some coaching with you or your leadership team or your company. But there's a way to begin to implement this stuff and turn this organization that could be 10 years old or 40 or 50 years old, right? But we need a healthy culture, right? So the next time we're going to be talking about clarity and alignment and ownership and the takeaway for session 2 is healthy organizations start with healthy leadership team. And a healthy leadership team in a very small organization might be 2 people, might be 3 people. The whole company might be 6 people. So we all are leading the company, right? But healthy organizations start with a healthy leadership team. We begin to put into place these things that allow us to have these kind of meetings and these kind of conversations and this kind of culture, right? That's what we're working toward. So thank you so much for joining us. My name is Bobby Mink with Choices consulting and management. We want to thank you for joining us today on Choices Create Change podcast. If you enjoyed session 1 of The Advantage by Patrick Lencioni, then let us know. If you have topics you would like us to discuss in the future, go to choiceconsultingman.com/podcast and leave us a message. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast while you're on that page. And so let's start this journey of creating and leveraging an amazing culture, a healthy culture, right? So you got this. So let's go crush it. Have a great day.